Hello, this is LaMantia, registered dietitian and author of the Essential Cancer Treatment Nutrition Guide and Cookbook. And I'm just continuing in my series to highlight different nutrition issues and my strategies. Now, normally I've been giving you a recipe, but for this particular issue, I don't have a recipe to share, but I want to talk about food aversions. So food aversions are fairly common in cancer treatment. Some of the more common ones would be coffee. So if you're a regular coffee drinker, don't be surprised during your cancer treatment you don't like the taste of coffee anymore. That can happen. Probably the second most common one would be meat, particularly red meat. People just lose their taste for it and they can't eat meat anymore. With that one, you do have to be careful that you replace the protein content from elsewhere in your diet. So for example, dairy is an excellent source of protein. So if you have 8 ounces of milk, that's 8 grams of protein. Chances are you may not want to be drinking milk, but you might use it in some of your recipes. So you want to choose something that's higher in protein. Other interesting thing I want to point out about aversions, so you can just have those general aversions like coffee and meat. The other thing is you can acquire aversions depending on what you ate before your treatment. This is particularly an issue for chemotherapy. So if you eat a meal and then you have the chemotherapy and you have nausea and vomiting afterwards, you can just decide, I can't eat that food anymore, even though it wasn't the food that made you sick, it was the chemotherapy, but your mind just associates that. So you can use that to your advantage in a technique called scapegoating. So kind of you get the idea of what it's about, but the scapegoating, you decide which food you want to develop an aversion to. And in the research I read, they recommend foods that are not very nutritious, that have a strong flavor. And the example they gave was jelly beans. And so what you would do, for example, before your treatment, you would eat the jelly beans and then you develop an aversion to it. And the idea being that, well, if you never eat another jelly bean for the rest of your life, your nutrition doesn't suffer because of that. You basically make sure that your body essentially blames the jelly beans and not the meal that you had before that, something nutritious. So that's what scapegoating is, and it's a technique that you can try. So if you like that tip or you want to read other tips, you can check out the Essential Cancer Treatment Nutrition Guide and Cookbook. It's available wherever books are sold, including on my website, jeanlamantia.com.